So I said it was like that when I got here. Hey everybody, welcome to Take the Black, the one and only chat show on the internet where we talk about things like pop culture, sci-fi, fantasy, robots, space lasers, pirates. I am Dan Selke, the editor of winnerscoming.net, here with Daniel Roman, another editor of winnerscoming.net. And this week, special guest star Camila Sarveo, fan-sided expert, all-around wonderful writer and pop culture maven.
Oh,
Um, and also, oh, I can't believe I'm going to ask this. Is that always your hair color? It looks
mine.
great.
Well, it's been like that for a while.
Okay,
Yeah,
it looks great, and it
yeah,
matches my shirt a little bit, and it
it
matches
does.
your glasses too, and your
Thank you.
pants. Yeah, you
Yeah.
are color coordinated the house down today.
Right.
Thanks for coming on, Camilla. We wanted to have you on because, and hello everybody who's talking in the chat. Hello, Philip Plus, it's important. That means there's a streaming service. Dan gets a whole half screen to himself. We'll see about that. Martha, how you doing? Andrew, always excited as always. Love to see you. And thanks to everybody watching. I agree. Best part of a Wednesday. Hey everyone, best part of my Wednesday. And we wanted to have Camilla on because you are something of an expert when it comes to a new Netflix television show that dropped over the weekend called One Piece. Camilla, if you had to summarize One Piece, the history of it and the importance of it and how we got to this Netflix show and to put it in context of what it means for the universe that we're going to talk about it, what would you say?
Well, One Piece is kind of like an anime giant. Everybody's watched One Piece. Even if they haven't watched the whole thing, like myself, I have not finished it. I have not
I mean, it's like
watched
80,000 episodes long.
a ton of episodes, and Bleach has already has my heart when it comes to a lot of episodes. So, it's a really like feel good anime about like friendship and pirating and just like going after your dreams. And I was really terrified that Netflix would do
Mm-hmm.
the same thing they did with, Bleach, Death Note, Cowboy Bebop. And um, I actually owe Netflix a huge apology. So, Netflix, I'm sorry for doubting your ability to turn this live action adaptation into what it is, which is absolutely phenomenal. They
Ah,
are nailing it, nailing it.
I have to say, so okay, so we're getting some fans already. Andrew is kind of in my boat. He never saw the anime, but this live action show is amazing. I haven't seen the anime. Camilla, you've seen quite a bit of it, and you seem pretty satisfied. Daniel, you're kind of in between where you've seen some of it, the anime, but not the whole thing. I think we all enjoyed the show.
Yep.
Daniel, what was your
Mhm.
take on Netflix's One Piece?
Well, kind of very similar to Camilla. I had like rock bottom expectations going into this because Netflix just has a track record of making live action anime shows that are not very good.
Dire, bad, terrible,
So
God.
they, yeah, yeah, yes, all those colorful descriptors. So I have seen more or less what the live action One Piece covers in the anime. I kind of bounced back and forth between them. And I loved it. I thought it was so good. I think they captured like the fun adventuriness of the anime really well. And obviously the manga too. So before it was an anime, it was a manga. It's been running since like the 90s and it's still
Long
going.
time.
A long time. They're on the anime's over 1,000 episodes deep at this point, and it's still going.
No.
Yeah, yes. Started in 1999. So yeah, I think it's incredible how well they captured it because it is a zany, weird story about a pirate kid who stretches to absurd lengths and fights fishmen and all sorts of ridiculous stuff. But they really nailed it. So yeah, I liked it a lot, and I almost feel like for people who could care less about the anime, it's worth checking out if you just want a fun pirate show.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
There
I,
definitely was. Oh, go ahead.
I'm a really
Go ahead.
big fan of the cast. the cast really sold it for me. They everybody nails their part extremely well. I love Godoy, who plays Luffy. He
Monkey
just
D. Luffy.
Monkey D. Luffy, sorry, the future king of pirates. He just embodies him, and it's perfect. He is like the heart and soul of that show.
He was very kind of infectiously joyful. I agree. Like the show, so okay, anime to live action. Tricky, because even like cartoons to live action in general, cartoons are so different. They're so much more, generally speaking, exaggerated and kind of broad and just have a different energy than live action stuff. So when you try to take one and put it into live action, it's like the list of successful ones, not just anime, are pretty small. I can think of no example. I'm sure there have been some examples, but I'm drawing a blank right now. Whatever, I'll come back to that. Anime, especially like you said, bad history. I know that Daniel liked Cowboy Bebop, but like no, I'm glad no one else did. The Death Note movie. I love that Willem Dafoe played a soul sucking demon, but other than that, I heard it was pretty bad. I forgot they even made a Bleach thing. And again, I haven't seen One Piece. Ooh, they made like a Full Metal Alchemist thing on Netflix. I watched part of it. Oh, it's so terrible. This felt like they keep a lot of the crazy, and again, I haven't seen One Piece, but watching this anime, I get the idea that not only is it an anime with a capital A in terms of like all kind of the anime tropes are there, but it's like a sillier one. Like, okay, so there's one point in there we go, Bippy the Clown, I forgot his name.
Buggy.
Like Buggy, there we go. Sorry, I'm like Luffy, I'd forget it. Like in the last episodes, there's a plot line with a Marine commander who's like a corrupt official, and he's taking money from these fishmen gangsters to look the other way during their crimes. And he has like mouse ears and cat whiskers, and it's not played for laughs. Like that's just the way he looks, and he's just going around being like, I can be persuaded to overlook your crimes if you give me a bigger stack of cash. And he gives it him, and he just has these whiskers and mouse ears, and they're just, and no one's saying anything about it. But and that did actually work. And I know that's the kind of thing they do in anime all the time. Folks just look weird, and just people just don't talk about it. And this show seemed to take some of those weirder aspects and keep them in the anime, but somehow make them more coherent with a real story than would normally happen. I swear I'll turn over the floor in a second, but like I watched that Full Metal Alchemist thing, and they all kind of had the same costumes, like Ed and Al and all the lust and the sins, and they looked ridiculous in live action form. They looked so stupid, but somehow they kind of kept a lot of the absurd bits from the One Piece anime, put them into live action, but they didn't look stupid. Like it looked like it all was of a piece. Camilla, do you have any insights on how they pulled that off? Because I don't really know.
I don't know how they pulled it off. I just love the fact that they embraced it. They didn't try to like make things look normal. They kept it for like they kept things the way they are, more or less, you know, maybe a little toned down with the silliness, but they just embraced it because it's part of their characters. It's part of the world that One Piece takes place in. And it's something that I was really nervous about them doing in the first place. Because I was like, great, there's Buggy, I forget their names because I'm really terrible.
A lot of names, yeah.
There's the guy with the big nose with the groves on it. I'm like, everything's just going to look absolutely terrible. And somehow, even the cats, like in episode 3 and 4, the black cat group there, we got Sham and I remember her name somehow, Sham and the cook guy, with their cat ears and their fangs and their hissing and their like particular like cat-like style when it came to fighting. Like they just embraced it all. And I think that makes the show even more endearing because, yeah, it's silly. We know it's silly, but you're watching because you like it and it makes sense.
It did make like visual and narrative sense when you're watching it. It was remarkable. I didn't think it was a perfect show. I had some issues. Just in terms of like a normal show. Those episode 3 and 4 where they were with Usopp, I think is the name.
Yep.
Like that thing dragged on and on and on and on and on. Like that needed to be over. In general, I did like the cast a lot, and I liked the spirit of it. It's pretty simple, it's that anime earnestness where it's everybody is high on love and life, and like everyone has very clear motivations. We're not really getting into the nitty-gritty of stuff here. Although some of them, like the actor who played Nami was a bit more textured than the other ones. Daniel, anything that stood out for you, good or bad, from One Piece?
Well, I think I just need to echo what you guys have said about the cast. I think
Yeah, it's
they
very
really
good.
are a huge part of what makes it work, which is kind of the anime too. Like it's this group, this kid is recruiting people who are insistent they are not going to be
Mhm.
recruited, but he's just so infectiously fun and optimistic that he ends up getting them to come along. And yeah, so when I first heard they were doing One Piece, part of me thought it was an awful choice specifically because it is a very exaggerated anime with, like you said, like guys with cat whiskers, stretchy people, Buggy the Clown splitting himself into a million pieces. Like
Look
it
good.
is, like you said, an anime with a capital A. And I think part of what made it work is that they leaned into that. So, like thinking about some of the other anime adaptations that haven't done very well. So, like one that always comes to mind for me is Dragon Ball Evolution, which was the
Ooh,
Dragon Ball live action movie that was really bad. They tried to make it a lot more serious and heavy. And this is like,
yeah.
if anything, I think the live action show is actually less heavy than the anime at points. Like just as a kind of a testament to like they really didn't have to tone it down or change over much. It's relatively faithful to the first 50 episodes of the anime with a couple
Ooh.
of changes. So yeah, I thought the cast, the costuming, the
Mhm.
special surprisingly really good. Um, Filming with real ships and sets, I think makes a
Ships
huge
look so
difference. They
good.
filmed this in South Africa, so they had a bunch of actual, yeah, the ships, the Baratier, which is the restaurant, I thought was a really great set.
Oh, so good.
So yeah, so they definitely put the money into this thing to make it really good. It seems
Mhm.
like they knew what they had and they didn't want to mess it up. And they involved the actual creator of the mangas in this production. And yeah, the results, I'm in shock that it's not terrible, honestly, still. Um, but so would you guys recommend this for someone who could care less about the anime? Will you watch if they make season two?
Camilla?
Absolutely. It's fun. It's like Dan said, like if this is good for people who don't really care to sit down through like over 1,000 episodes
I
and
never
just
seen
want,
it.
huh?
Yeah.
I never watched the anime, and I was totally there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So for people who haven't seen it or whatever, it's a really nice like sit down and binge session, which you have to binge this show. It is really
Mm.
hard to start it and stop it and start it and stop it. At least that's how I felt about it. And I get pretty passionate about shows I like, so that's maybe just a case of me being me. But I thought it was a really, really nice and it eases you into the world of One Piece and like everything that happens in it and everyone involved in it. And definitely if season 2 gets made, I would love to watch it. I would love for Netflix to make a season 2 and not pull the plug on it.
It
Same.
feels like they're gonna go further. I mean, with the writer's strikes are the biggest problems for them right now. I have another comment about it, but Daniel first. See, someone likes Andrew likes
Yes.
your shirt. What can't you do?
Why, thank you. I can't do anything because I'm booked.
Oh,
Ha,
Fear my bad pun shirt.
ha.
Aha.
wheeling a pun
Yes.
here. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it to people who haven't seen. And I mean, I will say, like, it's not. It does have, like the kind of kiddish adolescent sort of vibe, but it knows it. It's fun, and it had some parts that hit harder than I thought they would. What was I gonna say?
Yeah.
In terms of like, I agree with you, Daniel. That like the money is up there. They spent money on this thing. The sets are incredible.
Game of Thrones
Um,
money.
more than Game of Thrones money. They really went whole hog. Special effects are good. The
Yeah.
wackiness, but mostly it's all of that and the way they balance the cartoonish tone with the more serious parts. Okay, I'm gonna name check one bit because I think it was interesting illustration of how to kind of adapt this sort of thing correctly. So there's a bit where they're in the ship and they're in a fog, and Luffy is guiding them to the next port based on the smell of the cooking he smells, which is such a cartoon thing. Like it didn't. I mean, it reminded me of like Looney Tunes when like a scent lifts a character up into the air and like he just kind of like flies along floating toward it. And then in the background, I think it was like Zoro and Nami, who's I'm pretty sure those are their names, were like, I think he might have brain damage. I think that every day. Like that joke could have been on like The Office or something. Like that was out of like a sitcom. It was like two flesh and blood actors like next to each other, set it up, knock it down, like combined with the wacky cartoon stuff, and they found a way for it to like be next to each other. Like they didn't just they stuck close to the anime, obviously. Again, Whisker Man is proof of that. But they seem to have finessed things and made use of the fact that these are live action performers too. And they're doing things that live action performers are best at, like doing like small little interplay like that in the background, which we don't really get in a cartoon that much. It was just very well done. The pacing was up and down. I didn't like those 3 and 4 episodes, but mostly it was just, and again, spectacular to look at. Yeah, bring in season 2. Absolutely. It's just unfortunate that probably won't be out for a long time because not only does that take a lot of effort to make, that is exactly the kind of show that the writers and actors can hold up now with the strikes. So balls in their court.
Yeah. Oh yes. Indeed.
What do you any final thoughts on One Piece from Camilla? Do you have like a favorite character in this? Like anyone who worked particularly well for you?
Yes. I think I have 3.
Oh, go ahead. It's fine.
Nice.
I love Zoro.
That was good.
Yeah.
He was fun.
Sanji is amazing. The
Mhm.
actor learned how to cook and cook for the entire cast in his like costume. Like
You learned how to cook?
That's awesome.
He was that into his role, and he's amazing for it. And of course, Luffy. I always say Luffy. He's fantastic. I wish I had a pocket Luffy and I could just pull him out when I needed some encouragement. Like,
I'm sure you can get a Funko Pop.
He's great. Oh yeah. I do have
like 13,000 Funko Pops.
Another one. So yeah. Yeah. Those are my final thoughts. I like it.
Daniel, did anybody stand out for you?
I think Luffy is, like you mentioned, Dan, he's kind of the character that everything else plays off of. So I think if he had been miscast or wasn't as good, the whole rest of the show would have fallen apart a little bit. And that is kind of true to the anime too, what you mentioned about them kind of being like, well, he's an idiot. And he's like, I need more meat. Like he's just that character.
Very anime.
So he is the one
anime.
very, very anime. So thing I didn't know, small insert here. One Piece is inspired by Journey to the West, which is like a classic Chinese novel. Also the inspiration for Dragon Ball, Legends of the Monkey King. So that's why Luffy is named Monkey D. Luffy, because he is a play off of the Monkey King character. So that's why he has all of those really exaggerated characteristics. But he's the one I enjoyed the most. I think Zoro is the one who surprised me the most because I really like the actor who plays Zoro in the anime is the same guy who voices Piccolo in the United States Dragon Ball Z. And he's a little more emotive, so I just did not know what to expect from the live action actor. I thought he was great. I thought the stunt work was fantastic too. That really surprised me.
And it looked real, like despite how much special effects there were, like it looked grounded. It was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a scene where they're fighting. Zoro's fighting a person in a cat suit, and it looks ridiculous, but it's also really good. I can't believe they pulled this show off.
It's impressive.
They did. Hats off to Netflix. Literally, I'm very pleased.
I like Zoro a lot too.
straw
He was
hats
like getting
off.
me to laugh like the simplest, shortest lines. Like that guy has great delivery.
Mhm.
I feel like Nami is kind of undersung because they have like a 90s sitcom vibe going where like the one girl is the one who's not wacky and the one who has to go like, you guys, you're being so crazy, stop it, which isn't the best. It definitely gave like Everybody Loves Raymond or like Marge in The Simpsons or something. Like she's the one who's saddled with that role. But the actor did a great job. Like she probably had like the most emotional to
Yeah.
play. I also give a quick shout out to the Draco Malfoy, Joffrey Baratheon-esque kind of blonde asshole nepo baby kid of the Hook Hand command. I don't even know his name, but just that's the role I want to play. Like
How me to
That's a good description.
How Meepo.
hell Meepo.
Yeah.
Like just smarmy, feeling like looking superior, sneering all the time. So much fun. I didn't really like it when he turned at the end for no reason. Like, why are you nice now? I want him to keep on being a jerk. But maybe later. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Recommend One Piece. Go ahead. Go off Netflix. You got one. You finally got a live action anime that worked. And
They did.
you depend on it because I think they put a lot of money into this and merchandising this. So they want this to work because they want to have a cash cow. And look, the actors can use this as leverage to get a fair deal because they're like, you want more of this giant hit show? Pay us.
Yes.
And the writers. So I hope it happens too.
Yeah.
Camilla, I know that you have to go, but do you have anything else you want to say before you head off?
One, thanks for having me on.
You're so welcome. Thanks for coming on.
With you guys. Yeah.
Always.
And I'm also really enjoying Ahsoka. And I don't know if you guys are going to talk about it or not, but last night's episode is the only one episode so far that I haven't got pissed after watching. That's it.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yes. So yeah.
Dave Filoni finally making you happy.
Not happy, but like
not angry.
Not angry. Chill. Yeah. I think also chanting like don't get angry 500 times before I watch the episode helped a little bit. So.
It's like a mantra. It's important to get into the right state of mind when you watch a TV show to not throw a brick at the TV and just cost yourself hundreds of dollars.
No.
I'm glad. So it's good TV all around this week for you. Well, Camilla, thank you so much for coming by. Come by whatever you want. It's always fun to have you. Love your insights. Bon voyage. Because sailing.
Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Thanks so much, Camilla.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Bye. Sweet. Daniel, what's next on the agenda?
Ooh, well, I am Dan Selke, and I'm here to tell you about some stuff today, as Dan Selke would. Producer Richard fixed it. My power's been taken away.
I was liking your impression of me, though.
Thank you. That was off the cuff. That was unplanned. So the next, like you said, Dan, it is good TV all around this week. So we're going to talk about some more good TV, and specifically The Wheel of Time. Season 2 of The Wheel of Time is out. And that means we can actually talk spoilers about these first 3 episodes and how we felt about them, whether they enraged us, endeared us, any of that stuff. So I figured we could chat Wheel of Time. So if you haven't seen them, there will be some spoilers here. But Dan, now that we can actually talk the deets on this, how did you feel about these first 3 episodes? You said that you liked them a lot.
I did.
Is there any specific plot points or things you didn't like or that you especially liked that we can now talk about?
I thought the first 2 episodes were a little bit sleepy. The second one especially, I don't know, I was kind of dozing off a little tiny bit. But on the other hand, I like that they take their time with the setup here. The Wheel of Time, big fantasy epic show. These, these just young whippersnapper kids realize they're all really important to the universe. It's kind of an anime plotline, honestly, where like the teenagers all learn that they have to grow into superheroes and then save the world. Although it's a bit meatier and gets weirder than that. We talked a lot about this in our spoiler-free review. One thing I didn't say there that I want to say now that I forgot to was that one of the main characters, Matt, was played by a guy named Barney Harris in the first season.
Yes.
He gets replaced by Donald Finn. Is that his name?
Donald Finn, yeah.
Donald Finn. I want to say Donald Nye because that's the guy at the Night's Watch who I think stabs Jon Snow. But it's Donald Finn, not Donald Nye. And I just want to say that I think he's really good. I think he might be better than the last guy.
Yeah.
He has a certain kind of, it's easier to believe that he could be a bit of a rakish troublemaker than Barney Harris could as Matt. I think as Matt feels slightly more dangerous,
Yes.
a little sexier, if I can say, just like a little bit more sex appeal, which the show doesn't really have a ton of. Or I don't know. I'm not sure if, because the books are kind of in that chaste fantasy realm, not quite Lord of the Rings, but not Game of Thrones, like sex in it anywhere. He convinced me. I had no problem with him at all. I liked him, and I like to see more of him. I wish we saw more of him. But yeah, the show is good. You kept saying that it was more confident. It does. It feels like it knows what it wants to do more. And what it wants to do is spend time with granite-jawed, powerful women who stare daggers at each other while just dominating the screen, and just they're going to let you know they're here in charge. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely does feel like a better show this season. I feel like I have been a little hard on it, just thinking about some adaptation choices I've liked or not liked. But like as a show, I think it's pretty indisputable that this season is better than season one. And pretty much every way. They are. Yeah. And I really like Donald Finn as Matt too. I was nervous about him, obviously. Anytime you recast like a major role like Matt, that's like recasting Han Solo in Star Wars, essentially. Yeah. So it's a hard recast to pull off, but I agree with you. I think he is a more charming Matt. I think he gets the roguishness of Matt a little better. Season one Matt was kind of shitty. So sorry cursing, but like he was just kind of awful. And like I think the show has a little bit of a problem actually with making all of the characters like slightly worse people than they are in the books. I don't really know why they're doing that, but I think Donald Finn's Matt is a bit of a course correction. Well, it can be fun, but then you have like I really dislike what they're doing with Moiraine this season. So that is like probably, oh man, I hate it. She's just awful to everyone she's around. So Moiraine losing her powers is a big deviation in the first place. She never loses her powers in the novels. And it's a particular thing that I hate that TV shows do, where they're like, we don't know what to do with this powerful person. We'll take away their powers to see how they cope with it. And it's fascinating to me to see both The Wheel of Time and The Witcher. They both made this same decision for their second seasons for the exact same reason, which is their female lead isn't in that whichever book they were adapting very much at that point. Yennefer is not really in the first Witcher novel, Blood of Elves. Moiraine is kind of in the back seat for a lot of the book that this season is adapting for The Wheel of Time. And I don't know. It's just not working for me. And it's not the performance. I think Rosamund Pike is incredible. Like she could act staring at a wall and it would be compelling. So she's doing a great job with the material. I just don't really like where it's going. And they're pulling some plot lines forward from later books to service this. And it makes me really nervous about what later seasons are going to look like. But yeah, in general, it's great. I think the action scenes are better this season. Perrin's finally getting a little bit more attention on his wolf stuff, which is nice because I do like the Perrin wolf stuff. So they're bringing back stuff they cut from last season, like Elias, who is kind of the guy who's maybe giving off some wolfy vibes with his golden eyes and such. He was supposed to be in last season, then they cut him. So yeah, season 2 of The Wheel of Time is pretty good. Next episode is out tomorrow. I'm trying to think what else I want to touch on here. Oh, the Sean Chan. What do you think of the Shan-Chan so far, Dan?
Fabulous. I mean, most of the Shan-Chan is all about that costume with the giant nails and the mask and the implacable,
Yeah.
unmoving ferocity. The Shan-Chan are a mood. The moods are better this time. We have a great comment from
Yeah.
James Alexander, who is not liking the changes, but I want to I want to push back on Moiraine a little bit because
Sure.
okay, so she's stilled as James said, they stilled her or whatever
We
they're doing
think.
exactly. Yeah, or maybe it's just
We
shielded. Who
think.
knows?
Yeah.
And the Aes Sedai should treat her with respect.
We don't
I
know.
don't know if that's realistic or not. I will say, I mean, yeah. So when we were talking about this and we made the Witcher comparison, they stilled basically Yennefer in second season, and that was very boring. And I thought something would happen. I have not been bored by the Moiraine can't use magic plot like I was with the Yennefer can't use magic plot. In part of it is because Rosamund Pike is so good, and I just want to watch her. But I think it's not my favorite plot line of the season, but I am liking it. I like to see Moiraine kind of still command a room and go about her business, even though she can't like zappy zap people. Also, here's an argument for you from a book argument. In the books,
yes,
what I've read, I've read like 4. Everyone seems distrustful of the Aes Sedai, which never made a lot of sense to me because Moiraine was so clearly like the most competent, coolest, best person around. Like just in the books, the way Rand's like, I'm not going to trust Moiraine. I'm like, why not? She's so much better than you. Is kind of the way that I always felt in the books. I will say, I think they're doing a good job in this season with Moiraine of presenting a version of the Aes Sedai I can kind of see people not trusting. Like the way that she's just so closed off and keeps everything behind this wall. But Rosamund Pike sells it in a way that you still know there's stuff going on behind there. Like it's adding a dimension that I thought was kind of missing from the books. Because is it just me? Was I the only one reading the books? Like just yelling, like, just talk to the Aes Sedai. They're cool and they're awesome and they're better than you. And then in the show, I kind of get it. Like I kind of get why they're a little less willing to just trust these women who are so powerful and don't show any of like their cards, really. Keep them very close to their chests. I think that's kind of been effective for me. And Rosamund Pike is very, very good. That's the obvious bit there.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think they're doing a really good job of getting that across with more than just Rosamund Pike, with Alana, with Leandrin, with Leanne. So I did get that in the books. I definitely felt like, you know, the reason that everyone doesn't trust them is because they always have their own schemes and they're perfectly happy to manipulate people to achieve them. Rand in particular being like, I don't trust Moiraine. I agree with you. That got to a point where it was like, come on, Rand.
Why not?
I think the payoff for that worked well in the books, which we're not going to get into, but yeah. So I think that they are doing that well. My biggest thing that is bugging me with the Moiraine plotline is specifically like, so they are exploring what it means for Lan as her warder to not be able to still be her warder, basically. And what they are pulling for that. So in the books at this point, there's a plot line where Lan finds out Moiraine made plans for what would happen after she died for Lan's bond. Essentially, she decided without him, it would pass on to another person. This is not, the show is not doing this, so this isn't a spoiler. The show is still kind of exploring what it means for Lan to not have that bond, but it is just doing it because Moiraine doesn't want him around. And that is a very stark difference to saying, if I die, XYZ will happen, versus you're not my equal. I don't want you around. I will have people take your bond by force, which is like having did I take someone's bond by force? Like that is akin to rape in this world. So there are elements of that they're pulling from later books without the context that made those elements work in later books. Does that make sense? I don't. It does. So this is an instance where I'm like, I can appreciate what's happening on screen, as an adaptation, I can also say that I don't really like the direction they're taking it. But a lot of it will depend on what they do in the back half of the season for me, I think.
That's true. I think it's good enough that I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. And of course, if someone
That's
hasn't
fair.
gotten to those points in the books, like maybe there's a twist. Maybe she's keeping something close to her chest. And I know that's like a bad argument for why something's good or bad, but it seems assured enough that I'm willing to go with it and see where it goes. It's not taking me out of it. But again, I haven't read that far into the books.
That's good.
I also, really quickly, we haven't talked about Rand that much, just for how much of an important character he is. I've liked what he's done.
Yeah.
James Alexander said they made Rand a nurse in kind of a way that implies that he doesn't really happy with it. But Fantasy Fan points out that he's in the place for a reason. I actually liked. I thought that was kind of clever that he's
Yes.
that he's not really. I mean, he's trying to get to Logain because he's a man who can channel. I like that. I thought that was a good use of Rand's time. I know that in your review, you were talking about how it doesn't make much sense for Rand to, like, try to get away from his friends so he won't hurt people, then go to a new area where he could hurt people and form a new attachment to Selene. I didn't see that as a problem because he doesn't want to hurt his friends, but I mean, things happen. You don't intend to fall in love with a mysterious innkeeper who's Mrs. Robinson you on the side, but you know what? Sometimes it happens, and now there's conflict. So I don't think he intends to make any new connections that he's going to hurt, but maybe it'll happen anyway because he's young and impulsive and red hair.
I think with Rand, I do like the sanitarium plotline. Obviously, that's all new, that there's no real basis from the books. Aside from that, Rand does want people to teach him how to use the one power. So
Sure.
I like that they're starting to work that in with Logain. I really like the actor who plays Logain. So give him more material. I'm so fine with that.
He's cute.
Yeah, he's great. But yes, I do have issues with the fact that Rand is just kind of like comfortably in Kyrian because he faked his own death because he was a danger to be around for people, and now he's just being around other people and putting those people in danger.
People he likes.
So people he likes to varying degrees. So there was a lot of to do before this season about they were adapting his arc from The Dragon Reborn, which is the third book. That's why they had Rand go off on his own.
Yeah.
Not really. They basically just use that as an excuse to have Rand by himself. When Rand goes off in The Dragon Reborn, he is driven by paranoia for a purpose where he is traveling to a place on his own. And that just is not the case in season 2. They basically just wanted it so that Rand could be in Kyrian. Well, it's mostly off screen. So Rand only has 6 chapters in that book. The book named after him, he's in very little. But the biggest issue I had is just that they introduced Selene off screen. I feel like that was kind of a cop out. And I know that didn't bug you as much.
Yeah, I didn't at all.
But that was one I didn't particularly like.
Really? I don't know, because I thought I'd want her to have a big entrance, but I mean, again, and we're not doing spoilers, but now I think maybe if they gave her a big mystical entrance, it would give too much away. I really didn't think it was a problem at all. When you told me I thought there'd be some dumb flashbacks or something, but no, I think it's fine. He's with a very suspiciously attractive innkeeper who is doing a Mrs. Robinson on him. Sure, I went with it. In the books, it's definitely different, but the books aren't perfect. Their books are kind of dorky.
Oh no, they've definitely got their issues.
I not gonna say anything too much because episode 4 is and you'll learn more very shortly about Selene. So maybe just move on because we could go deeper, but that spoil things.
Yeah, I think it is fascinating to me with is XYZ on the nose? Is it too on the nose with some of the foreshadowing? Mm-hmm. It's I got a text from my sister about a different character saying, is this too obvious? I feel, I have thoughts whenever they open their mouth about, hidden motives and whatever. And it is hard to divorce yourself with this show in particular, because I think they are being more on the nose than Game of Thrones with its foreshadowing. Like
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
back to that little carved R plus, L equals J in the pillar at Castle Black. They had lots of very small things like
Hmm.
Maester Aemon talking about a Targaryen alone, and then the camera cuts to Jon. So like they had foreshadowing bits, but it's different than the Wheel of Time, where they are like absolutely seeding in things for people at kind of every stage of this journey. I think considering the enormity of that task, they're doing a good job. Even if I have reservations where I'm like, really need to see where this is going. You're making me nervous, Rafe Judkins, but I want to trust you.
James says that one of the biggest themes of the book is Rand becoming too hardened. It all starts with Rand at the beginning of the book too. Lan is used as a measure so you can see where Rand is, which is interesting. I'm sure they'll get back to that. I'm sure they'll meet up again at some point.
Yeah.
We can see some Rand Lan interaction. Bottom line is, I'm liking it. I wish I had more screeners, and I'm sorry that I don't. And if you're watching this, Jeff, I'd love some. Give me some, because you made a good show and I want to watch it. Dan,
Yes.
quickly, because we're running good on time because we have so much fun today. How was Ahsoka?
The latest episode was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a lot of lightsaber fighting. So if you like lightsaber fighting, you will probably like this one. And if you don't like lightsaber fighting, I don't know who you are. But yeah, no, good, solid episode. This was kind of like the midpoint episode where everything kind of shifts. It ended on a few really big cliffhangers, as well as bringing in, a very beloved guest star as the end credits stinger, and introducing probably one of, yep, you can probably guess it. They also introduced probably one of the weirdest, most out there concepts from Star Wars Rebels they're bringing into the show, which is the world between worlds, which is this kind of, I saw one writer I follow compare it to the ways in Wheel of Time. And that's a pretty good comparison. It's Star Wars' version of the ways, but if that was affecting time and space. So you can go to different times, you can go to different places. Yeah, everything is happening in this one space at once. So Ahsoka's getting a little trippy, but really good. Ray Stevenson, loving this as one of Ray Stevenson's final performances. He's really, really good in this show. So yeah, Ahsoka, definitely worth watching. So all of you out there, and you, Dan, what are you watching aside from?
It was pretty much all about One Piece this weekend. It was a long weekend, and I watched almost the entire. I finished it out last night, so that was pretty much it, and I don't regret it. And I'm still reading out the Three Body Problem, which I'll finish soon. Stop judging me.
Nice.
James Alexander about Lan and Rand said that they kind of messed it up already. Lan isn't in the show. He is not a fan of this portrayal of Lan, which again, maybe it's just that I haven't read all the books. Maybe it's different. I'm enjoying it. I don't think the Lan and Moiraine play. It's not like what I'm tuning in for or anything, but I'm liking it just fine.
Yeah. So I do want to. I'll briefly answer that. So. Lan in the books, he does have more of a dynamic of coaching Rand. Like that is kind of a tension point between him and Moiraine, where he's like, I just think Lan should be coached if he's going to deal with Aes Sedai. And Moraine's like, why are you doing that? That makes him harder for us to manipulate. So I as well I'm sad we haven't gotten that yet, but I am hopeful that we are gonna, because that is an important part of the book series. Yeah, so they're reshuffling when some of these things are going to happen. I'm hopeful we're still going to get that. But yeah, I don't blame people for being sad we haven't yet.
Well, no, but as Stephanie says, Lan is the show. He's the reason to watch.
Respect, Stephanie.
I
really like
solid eye candy in you.
And I think he is doing a solid job. It's a different Lan. It's kind of like Lan and Nynaeve. Nynaeve a little less so, because she's kind of an unreliable narrator where she seems very angry, but also her internal monologue kind of betrays her a little bit, that she's like tugging on her braid and has all these tells. Lan is another one of those where he's stoicism incarnate, and you kind of get to know him over time, and the show has just made him much more accessible out of the gate.
I'll say the
but
one thing. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to change the subject. So you
I had
go.
one more thing to say about the Wheel of Times. I didn't say this in our spoiler review either. I didn't say this in our spoiler-free review either. The one thing from the books that I do miss, honestly, like I don't really care about anything you're saying, but or at least for me, it's. I said that wrong. I don't not care. For me, all of that is not bothering me. I do miss Loyal. Loyal, I really liked in the books a lot. I thought he had a lot of presence. He's very charming, kind of this like gentle giant, like kind of looks a little scary and alien, but is actually like a big old book nerd, and just is like the mildest and meekest of them all. And in the show, he's just kind of there, and I don't feel like he has much presence at all. Not really much about his personality. So that I wish they'd put more focus and given more attention to Loyal's characterization. But you know what?
Yeah.
They do have a lot to do. And they have 8 episodes to do it. Like I'm not too mad about it, but I do miss like Loyal and Nynaeve are my 2 favorites from the books. And I just wish there was more Loyal.
This is one of those instances where I do really would maybe screw their head on straight and give them more episodes, because this is a series where it's like you could very much justify having more episodes per season in this show, because that's the way you're going to get stuff like Loyal. Like, during fights, they're like all fighting and he's like scribbling in a book because he wants to write this chronicle. Like, it is super charming. Yeah. And it makes it stand out more when they make more controversial decisions, because there's less time. So there's more pressure for every single thing to fit into this puzzle piece in some very specific way. Whereas the books, like Robert Jordan meanders all over the place. Like, it is, they absolutely need to streamline some stuff, but I wish Amazon would like give them 10 episodes at least. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I wouldn't object. Like, I will say they're long episodes. Like, they're 8 episodes, but like they're like hour plus. It's not like they're short. But yeah, it's an imperfect world. I'm looking forward to the next one.
It's true. Yeah.
Watch anything else, Daniel, before we get to the Wick News lightning round?
I'm not watching anything else. One Piece was definitely my week over here a lot too, and Wheel of Time and Ahsoka. And yeah, bouncing back and forth between the anime and the live action One Piece. I think I've watched like 50 episodes of the anime, so it's been a lot. You
dug in.
I did. It's been fun. It's been so fun. And I'm a huge, I love Dragon Ball Z, and it's very similar. The anime is surprisingly similar structurally. And even with some of the
shonen anime, I think it's what that called. Like Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, like anime for like teen boys is basically what it is.
Well, I believe
not that it can't be enjoyed by everybody.
Hello, it me. Yeah. But aside from that, I have been reading this week. So I'm going to show some books. The Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless. I started this book this week. It's kind of like Irish Game of Thrones. It's set in medieval Ireland with like these kind of feuding magical races that are in hiding among regular people. So like there are fun like Last Kingdom type references, like Bamberg Castle has been referenced in this book already.
Oh, cool.
Really sharply written. I'm enjoying that book a lot. The sequel comes out this month, which is why I started it. And this other one, I got this yesterday. I need to show off this cover. So this is Starter Villain by John Scalzi.
The cat.
Cat in a suit. And it's about a guy whose uncle, who he doesn't know very well, dies, and then he inherits his supervillain business, which has cats as spies, dolphins who want a better union, and volcano layers and all this kind of stuff. So it is wacky as hell, and I'm loving it.
I have a friend who
that's
would
what I've been into.
love that. I might get it for a gift or something. It does sound intriguing.
It's
Thank
a
you
great
for showing that
book,
one off.
And Yeah, starter villain. This comes out on the 19th, I think. So in a couple of weeks. I mean, it's basically like a popcorn read, if that makes sense. Like it's a
Sure.
very easy, very light read, just there to make you laugh a bunch for 300 pages, pretty much. But
Love
yeah,
it.
that's what I've
Like
been
it into
into
it.
this week.
After
Yeah.
I finish the three body problem, I'm thinking of doing a Brandon Sanderson thing. We'll talk later about which one I should do.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, I definitely have thoughts. You have lots of options.
Yes, I
That's
do.
kind of one thing we, yes.
I'm glad I have you
I
who
was
knows
just
them very well, so I can ask you.
Yes, I'm always happy to talk Brandon Sanderson. He's had 3 books come out this year. I have not kept up.
Of course he
Bro
has.
needs bro needs a vacation. But I think we're pushing time. Shall we
Yes, we are.
lightning round?
Let's do it. Let's hit it. Let's go.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you this first one. So for those of you watching who've never seen the show before, this is the part where we get into news we didn't have the time for in the main show, and we talk about them for 20 seconds each. Otherwise, we are buzzed into infamy and shame by producer Richard. So yes,
That
and it sounds like that. Uh,
that part.
Dan, here is the first one.
Mhm.
Marvel announced a bunch of delays and date changes. They've delayed Agatha, the Darkhold Diaries, which is the new Coven of Chaos name, Echo, and they took Ironheart off the schedule entirely. They also moved up What If season 2. How do you feel about this?
I feel like the AMPTP should sign a deal with the actors and writers unions so they can start promoting things, making things, and getting TV shows out to us and not delaying things to make up for the fact they're losing time. That's what I think. Go do that. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
I can only agree.
Sweet. Daniel, the second season of Arcane,
Yes.
which you were a fan of, kind of this adaptation of League of Legends, is coming out on
Mhm.
Netflix in winter of 2024.
Yeah, so Arcane season 1 was a really, I thought, just a really good show. Season 2 is coming out next winter. We finally got confirmation about when to expect it from Riot Games, who makes League of Legends. Their parent company basically confirmed that it's coming out next winter. So mark your calendars, but don't rush too much because we have a year.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Right? If we'll have to, hang in there in the meantime. So Game of Thrones star Lena Headey, who played Cersei Lannister, suffered some kind of leg injury this week, and posted to Instagram that she has to be in a cast for the next 6 weeks.
Oh no. Not much to say really. I'm sorry you hurt your foot, Lena Headey. Whether you were doing it dancing, skiing, mountain climbing, I don't know, but whatever it was, sorry, and I hope you heal up nice. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. Okay, that was
Nice.
4 seconds to spare. Daniel, here's an interesting one. Okay, so the strike's still going on, actors and writer strikes. AMC has cut a deal with the Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA, to keep filming Interview with the Vampire and 2 Walking Dead spinoffs. So they're just going to film through it, but the union agreed to let them. How'd that work?
Yes. Yeah, so AMC made it's called an interim deal. So basically they agreed to all of SAG-AFTRA's demands.
Oh, that's cool.
In order to be able to film these. Yeah, so this is an instance where they're just like, we can do that. And SAG said, okay, cool. Keep making Interview with the Vampire. And I think it's Daryl Dixon and the Rick and Michonne show. Those are all still filming.
Work.
Yeah, work. So here's one that's been making news the past couple days. So Joe Jonas, who is the husband of Sophie Turner, reportedly hired a divorce attorney. And then today, Turner issued a joint statement saying that they are separating.
Yeah, Joe Jonas, a member of the Jonas Brothers, and Sophie Turner, Sean Stark, Game of Thrones, are getting a divorce. That's too bad. I mean, it's a couple breaking up. It's kind of their business. But what I liked was that there were all these quotes immediately after about like from like a source close to the family who was like saying all these like, well, this is why they were doing it. And like, who is close to you can't be that close to them if you're telling all this stuff. I think it was Nick Jonas. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely sus.
It's just weird. Like, and that always happens. Like a source close to the family says that he was cheating or they were partying. Like, who is saying this?
Yeah.
Anyway, Daniel, the second season of
Yes.
My Adventures with Superman, which is a really good show, by the way, is on the way. They made the
Nice.
first two seasons concurrently, and they have plenty more planned.
Yeah, so the creator of My Adventures with Superman, whose name evades me,
I don't know.
basically confirmed in the
Kal-El.
past week that did you say Kal-El? Yes, Kal-El, creator of Kal-El Superman. They made the first two seasons at the same time, so we're definitely getting season 2, and they have a bunch more seasons planned. So studios get stuff sorted so that they can make those. People seem to like it.
It was really fun. I liked it.
All right, let's end in Westeros as we do.
Let's do it.
So House of the Dragon has reportedly cast another rat catcher for episode 2. What do we make of
Yeah,
this?
rat catchers are important to this. So if you've read George Martin Fire and Blood, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's a scene where a rat catcher and a former soldier cause some major trouble in the Red Keep, and afterwards all the rat catchers are put to death. We'll leave it there. But this rat catcher is one of those many unfortunates who are killed after another one does something very, very naughty. Stay tuned. Speaking of House of the Dragon, season 2, they wrapped up this enormous battle scene. They were filming in Bourne Woods in England. I think that's the end for their outdoor filming. I think now the rest for like the next month is just inside.
Yeah, yep, exactly what you just said. They're now continuing at Leavesden Studios for, I think, roughly another month and a half they have left, but they wrapped this enormous set piece in Bourne Woods, and that was seemingly a pretty large chunk of production. So huzzah, House of the Dragon. I hope it turns out well, and can't wait to see. Can't wait to see it.
True. And we can't wait to see you back here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Melbourne, or 5 a.m. Melbourne, where we stream episodes of the show, Take the Black, talk about pop culture, fantasy, sci-fi, movies, TV, all that good stuff. We're also available in podcast form wherever podcasts are available, be it Google Play, iTunes, or elsewhere. Thank you for joining us. This is a lot of fun. We're back next week, next Wednesday. Show up, participate, comment. We love to hear from you. Give us a like, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll see you next week. Until then, one piece, more like one piece of crap, but not really. I just want to say the pun. Bye, everybody.
Take care.